Great. And actually, I do have a couple announcements before we get started. I want to remind you all, today is the day where you can submit a Jane's Walk. And even if you don't have a fully fleshed out idea, this is our annual Jane's Walk National Festival of Walking Tours, and Maine Downtown Center is a partner in helping to produce and promote these. Many of you all, most of you all have participated before. You can submit a walk right here on the website, and on their site, you can see in the past we had a downtown thrift tour in Westbrook. Last year there was a Black History walking tour in Biddeford and Saco. And then this is a historical tour that happened in Bethel, but you all have had tours in your communities, and we just want to give that announcement that they're happening. Again, even if you don't have a fully fleshed out idea, submit what you have. Submit if you're like, yeah, Historical Society wants to do this, and I'll make sure that they get it in on the deadline. And it doesn't have to be historical. Again, downtown thrift tour. We've had, ghost story tours, and all sorts of things. So, Anne, anything you want to add on to that?
Nope, it's an international event based on Jane Jacobs, and highly recommend that you check it out. And every year, the 5 partners that work on this, which is Portland Downtown, Maine Preservation, Maine Downtown Center, Greater Portland Landmarks, and the City of Portland, every year the tour grows. The publicity grows. We've attracted grant money from various sponsors, as well as the Office of Tourism. The walk leaders get swag, like t-shirts and flags. It's a really fun event, always the first Saturday in May. And I have been challenged to get like over 20 walks in our downtowns. So yeah, and it's any topic goes. It's about an experience, and anyway, lots of information. Submit it even if you're not sure.
I think Riley just submitted one. Raise your hand if you've already submitted one for your community, or someone in your community has. Awesome. Van Buren, Ellsworth, excellent. Way to go.
Great.
Great. Other reminder is that National Main Street Now conference is happening less than a month away. We're just like a few weeks away, and that's crazy because we're supposed to be at like the beginning of March. But anyway, April 6th through 9th. I don't know, we're there from the 4th on, but you all know it's coming up. And if you're going to be there, we've probably already sent you the Maine State Gathering invite. But if you're going to be there and you haven't yet seen that Maine State Gathering invitation, let us know and we'll send it to you. Great. Without further ado, we've got 2 guests today. So we're going to hear about some exciting things. First, we've got Dakota Hewlett here from MaineDOT. And I'm sorry, we did introductions for everyone else, but obviously you two are going to introduce yourselves a little bit more with your presentation. So Dakota's going to share some opportunities through MaineDOT, and then we'll hand it over to John. And John Byram is here from Bath at Play as well, and may have a little Fred joining at certain moments. So if you see an adorable baby, that's who it is. But we'll start off with Dakota. Take it away.
Sure, thank you, Zoe. See if I can share my screen.
And Dakota, your audio is a little choppy.
I apologize. Let me know if it continues, and I'll turn my camera off.
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay.
Is that better?
It's still pretty choppy.
Do you want to try to call in, Dakota?
Yeah.
And we could always. Yeah. Okay, great.
I wonder, Dakota, do you want to call in and maybe we'll switch over? John does his presentation first and then we'll do yours. Does that work with your timing?
Yep.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll do that. You call in and we'll look out for you. And John, if you're ready.
Yeah, let me just go hand off Fred to my wife.
Absolutely, of
right
course.
Back.
Of course. Bye, Fred. Fred just turned 1. Fred has teeth. Fred can wave. Those are things we learned about Fred before. Awesome.
And I can look for the phone number if we need it for Dakota.
Amanda, were you going to say something? Feel free.
Just going to say that I recently had a tour of his beautiful historic home on Washington Street, and it is one of my favorite antique homes I've ever been in. And you
Wow.
know me now enough to say that's saying a lot. It's gorgeous.
Cool. We'll have to get a tour.
Okay.
John, we were just hearing how great your home is. Amanda said she had a tour.
Oh yeah, she's head over heels over our house. Despite my background, I don't live on Front Street, so let me just share here.
And we all need more play in our downtowns. That's why John is here. That's why we met recently through Amanda. And take it away, John.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is John Byram. I am president and treasurer of Bath at Play. And thank you, Anne, for inviting me to talk on the importance of play and help everybody be more playful today. So I hope we can have a good discussion on how to build play into your communities. So a little bit about who we are. Bath at Play is a 100% volunteer-led charitable organization. We're based here in Bath. And our mission is to expand dynamic and inclusive play throughout Maine. We started here in Bath, but we're hoping to help out across the state. We aim to advocate for play at the local level through grassroots efforts, playground projects like revitalization and expansion, and new ones, and playful community events. Because our program or our organization is volunteer led, we're able to reinvest nearly all of the fundraised dollars that we get back into our programming, our events, and our play projects. And our goal is, with those funds and all of our effort, is to keep play accessible, inclusive, and engaging for all ages, because we believe that play isn't just for kids, but for everybody. So just a little bit about us. We've been staying playful since 2022. And on the left of your screen, you can see some of our projects here. We helped to get 8 mature trees transplanted around the only community playground in Bath to act as natural shade. And we're working toward additional surfacing and accessibility improvements. In the middle, we saw our first play installation just last year with the Riverwalk Rhythm Project. And that helped introduce year-round outdoor musical play to Bath. We also partnered with the Kennebec Estuary Land Trust to install a Hobbit-themed reading nook and little library in their community garden. So what is the value of play? Play is vital to the health of our communities. Beyond the mental health and physical health benefits, play also helps build emotional resilience and encourages the forging of social bonds. And it's really the main way that children learn and develop, and helps foster their creativity and curiosity. For all of you guys, it can be a driver of economic growth by bringing residents and tourists closer to local businesses. So I always consider play and play spaces to be a great equalizer. They bridge socioeconomic factors, racial barriers, and provide a safe and welcoming space for children and families in our neighborhoods. They're equally important for parents too. And, we shouldn't just say playgrounds are for kids. Parents and caregivers find these places to find other parents and caregivers to empathize with on the joys and challenges of parenthood. Unfortunately, what I'm seeing is that play is very undervalued and often overlooked in urban planning and design these days. And I think it's our job as community members and community leaders to voice the need to keep play in the design process for current and future placemaking projects. So what's play kind of made out of? It falls into two main types, structured and spontaneous. Structured play is what we think of as a typical playground. These play spaces are very important as they provide an enduring outlet for play in our communities and serve as regular meeting spaces for caregivers and families. Having these spaces available helps foster those community bonding experiences and can help build lifelong friendships between neighbors. What I'll be focusing on more today is spontaneous play. While structured play is great for our communities, spontaneous play has the added benefit of being more open-ended and unstructured. It draws on our natural curiosity and our propensity for play to make it a success, and has the added benefit of being able to transform an underutilized or neglected space into a true community asset. We think that these types of spontaneous events and installations also give older community members and caregivers the permission to play, which is something they may not feel comfortable with doing at a playground. These events encourage them to engage in playful activities that may fall outside of their day-to-day routines, which in turn leads to new and beneficial experiences for those people. So prime example of spontaneous play is pop-up play. Pop-up play installations use smaller, open-ended designs with lower costs compared with a full-size playground. They typically have shorter lifespans, say up to a year, but tend to affect long-term positive change. They can provide a hands-on example of how these improvements, specifically accessibility improvements, can greatly benefit a community. When you combine them with a community-driven design approach, you get a greater amount of community ownership of the space, and it can help convince people that might be in opposition of the installation to the benefit of these projects. A very successful example of a pop-up play initiative is pictured here on the screen. It's the play installation in Chinatown Park in the Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy Greenway in Boston. What started as a temporary open-ended play structure paved the way for permanent inclusion of play in that park. Towards the end of the project, excuse me. Towards the end of the project, they did a community feedback survey, and that showed the city that they needed to make this a permanent feature. And it ended up creating a permanent addition of play to the largest open space in Boston's Chinatown. I believe it's like 3/4 of an acre. So here's some strategies for a strategy for play design. You want to focus on inclusive environments that are naturally accessible, and ideally there's no cost for participation once the project is complete. You want to aim for low cost but high impact play elements. You want to encourage a dynamic design that challenges the people that are visiting and playing there, but also sparks their curiosity and encourages physical activity. And you want to leverage your community for ideas as they can help you shape the play of tomorrow. We had local kids submit drawings of their dream playground, and that's what you can see here on the screen, to send to a local author illustrator for a book idea. While we didn't get to go ahead with the book, it did show us the depth of creativity of our youngest community members and gave us a glimpse into what they thought they needed in a playground. I think a great way to think about play and a play installation or event is to consider it a recipe. And I can forward this recipe card to you all. When you throw all of these elements into a blender, you get a play smoothie and everybody loves it. So if there's one takeaway that I want you all to get from today is that play doesn't require a playground. And it can spark creativity and curiosity and community wherever it appears. These are some examples of our structured play initiatives. On the left, we have the Riverwalk Rhythm Project, which again, it brought musical play to a public space. It's been a draw for a brand new park here in Bath, and has helped raise awareness of this new green space and encouraged people of all ages to play. I often see more adults playing on this than I see kids playing on it, which was really great. On the right side, we have our Celt Hobbit themed reading nook, and that has helped encourage family bonding, early literacy, imagination, and nature-based play in an agricultural learning-based community garden. For our more unstructured and spontaneous play, we've implemented a number of annual seasonal events that are open and free to the community. And I have to thank Amanda McDaniel for involving us in these larger events that happen in town and help us, harness these green spaces all year round. So our Heritage Games are held during the 4th of July celebrations and feature classic competitive lawn games where children and adults are encouraged to compete in a fun and energetic atmosphere. And then just last month, we held our first Yeti relay as part of Winterfest. And it was a blast seeing kids race across the snow to get these little plush Yetis from one snow cave to another snow cave. And then upcoming, we're doing a color run. And for those of you that don't know what a color run is, it's a vibrant celebration of spring with roots in the Hindu festival of Holi, which was actually celebrated yesterday and today. So the timing is great. And that's on May 18th. And then we're also doing a block party blocks with one of our local workspace cooperatives. So these are just some examples of how you can have low cost events and installations, but high impact effect. And that keeps your community members engaged and playful throughout the year. So again, I want to thank Anne for inviting me to speak with you all this morning. And I challenge you to stay playful every day. We have an ever-growing list of resources on research and research on play on our website here on the screen. And I open it up to any questions. I hope that we can be a resource for any of your communities, not just here in Bath, and welcome a playful discussion.
That was so great, John.
Thank you.
Would you share your slides with us too?
Of course.
Great. And I just have, if you wouldn't mind stop sharing, I just have a question for the group and then we'll see if they have questions for you. Okay. Sure. How many of you have play in your downtown or in some of the events you hold currently? Pretty good. How many of you want more play for grown-ups and kids? Yeah, great ideas. All right. I mean, such great ideas. Okay, opening it up to the group and I'll let Sylvie facilitate. I just wanted to see where we were on that.
I love that. That is, yeah, I'm ready to have fun. Who's got questions for John? Go ahead, Denise.
Real quick, the Hobbit structure, the little library. I'm just curious about unwanted individuals sleeping in there at night. Do you have any things, comments about that?
So the way that the Hobbit house is designed, it's made more. It's actually made in Maine, up in Unity, and that installation is pretty far off from the downtown area. That's I want to say 2 miles or maybe more from the like epicenter of downtown. But it's also designed so that there's no wind, like there's no closures on the windows or the door, so it's open all the time. I don't know that Kelt has had any trouble with, unwanted people or creatures staying in there. It was something that was brought up in the kind of like, how are we going to design this? That we thought, would a door keep those individuals out, but also would maybe limit accessibility during different times of the year. And it was decided that it would be better to not have those pinch hazards, because the doors are they close very tight on when the doors are installed. And it was considered a better approach for safety to have it open and kind of understand that there might be things or people, making their way in there at different times. But again, it's off the beaten path, and it's in a more, I don't want to say rural neighborhood, but it's in a neighborhood as opposed to the downtown.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it's a problem if it happens, and we'll address it, but hasn't been an issue yet.
I put the link in the chat for the Hobbit Hole store, and you can see the doors that John was talking about on their website.
We've got time for one more question for John at this point before we hand it over to Dakota, but make sure to include also your contact information, John, in the follow-up along with your slides. That's okay.
Will do.
Any other questions or a fun idea that's popped into your head?
Cool.
I really want to go to the like block party, or like
that we're working on that. We're really excited. That's
brilliant.
New thing.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for joining us. That was a really fun presentation, and
thank you for having me.
Well timed.
Yeah.
Thanks, and welcome to stick around, or if you got to sign off, tell Fred we say hi.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
Dakota.
John.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Dakota, let's try this again.
Okay.
We see your
Can you hear me
screen
this
coming
time?
up. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so let's go.
Tyrion, I'm going to mute
right.
you.
Just one last confirmation. You can hear me well and you can see my slides?
Correct. Yes, both are true.
Cool. I apologize for the technical difficulties before. Sometimes I find Zoom does not work well when I work from home for some reason.
It's always the different platforms, right?
Yeah. But we'll go ahead and get going. That was a great presentation. I thought that was something that, as a kind of a practitioner of how we build the built environment, great to know that there are always different ways that people are using the facilities that MaineDOT and towns and municipalities and others are building. It's great to see that locations are receiving programming and receiving play. So my name is Dakota Hewlett with the Maine Department of Transportation. I am the active transportation planner or state bicycle and pedestrian coordinator. In this role, I work primarily on issues that have to do with bicycle and pedestrian transportation, bike ped safety, infrastructure planning and design, working very closely with municipalities across the state of Maine, as well as nonprofits and other stakeholders. as we talk about building or amending kind of the built transportation environment to accommodate additional safe bicycle and walking access for transportation. And obviously there's a huge overlap between transportation and recreation when we talk about biking and walking as well. I kind of come from more of a recreation background. So I'll talk today about a handful of programs that MaineDOT has available to municipalities to work through some projects and things like that. And then I could chat more broadly on some other things or respond to questions after that. So kind of kicking this off, one of our most common partnership programs with municipalities at MaineDOT is what we call the Planning Partnership Initiative Program. It's a cost-sharing program where we work with an interested municipality that has some goals around transportation in their, it could be in their downtown, doesn't have to be in their downtown, but oftentimes it is in more of a village or downtown built-up area, or the municipality wants to work with us, hire a consultant, and do some real planning about what the future of that project area might look like. So could be planning for additional connectivity, planning for better biking and walking facilities in that area, planning for a change in traffic flow, or analyzing better traffic flow, or analyzing safety concerns in an area. This is our kind of flagship program for working with the municipality to plan for the future of transportation in that town. So certainly if you're working with municipalities that have some transportation needs, feel free to reach out to us, and this is probably one of the first programs we might talk about to see if we can help with some of the transportation needs here in Maine. And I put this slide in here in a lot of my presentations because this is really kind of my favorite part of what a lot of our planning studies entail, which is stakeholder meetings, public meetings, getting out maps, drawing on maps, putting sticky dots on boards, and really kind of an interactive way to plan for transportation in the future of a municipality. So it's not all just boring meetings and consultant analysis. There is some great public engagement, stakeholder engagement, and ways that we can kind of bring this to the community and take in some ideas that we may not have thought of. The next one is our Municipal Partnership Initiative Program. Won't spend too much time on this. This is essentially our cost-sharing program with municipalities where we can do infrastructure projects or upgrades to the state road network that the municipality would want to prioritize, but that just at the moment aren't on the top of MaineDOT's priority list. So this could be maybe repaving a road sooner than MaineDOT plans to get to it, or changing drainage if there's some drainage issues out on a road, or some intersection things that just aren't working, things like that. This is a little bit more kind of public works focused, roadway infrastructure focused program. So we'll get into what I spend more of my time on is our, our bicycle and pedestrian funding program is Maine's iteration of the Federal Transportation Alternatives Program, which has kind of been a long-standing federal program through USDOT and the Federal Highway Administration, funding projects that support biking and walking through the state DOTs. So this is a program that municipalities can apply to us for a project, and we work with them through design and construction of a project. Here in Maine, this is largely sidewalks that we do with this program, some multi-use trails, things like that, some intersection improvements and pedestrian crossings, things like that. I just noticed there is an error on this slide. In the past, the program has been 80% federal share with a 20% local match requirement. That has actually recently changed as of late 2024, and we are now only looking for a 10% local match requirement moving forward with this program. So that is a recent change with the program. Feel free to reach out to me. This is a program that has kind of an annual deadline for applications in July. I'm happy to meet with municipalities, go out and walk a potential project site, things like that, to help applicants get ready to put together an application. This is a brand new program at MaineDOT, the Active Transportation Partnership Initiative. So this is our take on a small state-funded program, so not federal funds, which is important for us. state-funded program to do small location-specific and kind of spot improvement projects that support biking and walking with a pretty heavy focus on safety. So I built this program to have about, have kind of 3 different categories so that projects would come in as, and there's a little bit of a match requirement difference for those categories as an incentive. But we're looking for projects that have measurable safety outcomes for vulnerable road users, people biking and walking. We're looking for projects that I'm calling targeted transportation improvements. So those are improvements that don't have that data behind them, that they're not, measured safety deficiencies necessarily at the moment, but just great small spot improvements that the municipality might want to do. And then the third category is temporary demonstration or pilot projects. So those are projects like you see in the photo here. This is in Kittery. I believe this is 2023. Kittery used these flexible delineator posts on the edge line of the road to help delineate a little bit better space for cyclists, kind of like a seasonal protected bike lane. Also helped strengthen the crosswalks, kind of shortened the crossing distance for pedestrians, had a bit of a traffic calming effect as well, which is what they were going for with their projects. These are the types of projects we can do with those pilot projects, things like traffic calming or testing out maybe bump outs at crosswalks or other features to help biking, walking, and some speed management for vehicular speeds as well. So like I said, this is a brand new program here in 2025 with MaineDOT. Feel free to reach out if you think there might be something of interest for the municipality that you're involved with this program. Here's a couple other examples of what we might be looking at. So those, we call them rectangular rapid flashing beacons, those flashing pedestrian signs that you push to cross at the crosswalk, things like that. The photo in the middle here is from Gardner, and that's a construction of a bump out that might be an example of a smaller kind of spot-specific infrastructure project that this project would fund. And the speed feedback sign I threw in there, that's a great example of some of the tools that we might be able to use if our goals are more related to vehicular speed management. So one last slide in here, more specific to traffic calming and demonstration projects, pilot projects. So we have some guidance on kind of what we will allow and what we would want to see for demonstration projects on state roads, and can assist with kind of scoping out some of those projects. We use the term gateway treatment a lot. That's essentially a contextual cue that you would create a gateway as vehicles are driving in toward a more built up area, toward a downtown or something, and really kind of build out that contextual cue to make sure that drivers know, hey, you're not on the rural road or rural highway anymore. You're coming into town, and your driver behavior should reflect that. Your speed should reflect that. Things like that. Municipal support with these temporary pilot projects is super crucial. MaineDOT generally does not actually install them. So we're looking for support municipally to install them. And then really, really crucial is support from the municipality to help convey why this is being done. So communicating to the public, to residents, neighborhoods, businesses, why are these things out on the road? Why does the road look different, for the next month or something, whatever the project is going to be? Help convey what the goals are, what the intended benefits are, and help us measure before and after conditions so that we can really start to find the right tools that work for slowing cars down, or the right tools that work for increasing pedestrian safety. I want to chat about a couple of other new things quickly. So MaineDOT has updated our speed limit setting process late in 2024, as well as an updated complete streets policy. Our complete streets policy is kind of what guides our agency and how we consider the needs of all transportation system users when we are scoping out planning projects. Obviously, we have a whole range of types of projects, from maintenance to kind of general regular paving, all the way up through to like a bridge replacement or highway reconstruction, really heavy, impactful project. So this policy and some of the additional guidance with it helps us kind of navigate through how we consider the needs of people biking or walking or other communities, even snowmobiles, the Amish community, if they're prevalent in an area we have the project, or other needs and transportation system users as we go through our project process. And I mentioned that that speed limit setting process, that's new for us as well. Both of those, complete streets and the speed limit setting process, is now linked to a context classification system that we have on the roads that is new. This is kind of helping us mirror some new federal guidance and helping us to really tailor some things a little bit more specific to the actual context of a roadway. Helping to know, what should we be should we be doing in an urban or kind of a village area in Maine that we wouldn't do in a rural high-speed area. How can we help drivers really understand appropriate speeds in those areas where we want them to? So that was my quick presentation. I've got some names and contact info here. MaineDOT has regional transportation planners that serve different regions throughout the state. So feel free to reach out directly to them, or always reach out to myself as well if you have questions specific to anything that MaineDOT does, transportation, biking and walking specifically, anything like that. But I'm happy to chat about any questions or anything else that you all may have thought of.
Thanks, Dakota. That was great. It was an awesome overview, and appreciate you highlighting that new after transportation opportunity. That's great to hear about. And I suspect most people here are familiar with their regional planners. And hopefully you've met with some of these folks previously, but what questions do we have for Dakota? Go ahead, Luke.
Dakota, the pathways planning funding or potential funding, if a group or a municipality applied for that, would that have an impact on their PPI?
No. So if you're asking about if there's any kind of eligibility conflict between the bike ped program and the PPI program, no, not necessarily. The bike ped program is primarily federal funds, separate program, and that's for design and construction of a project that's already more or less planned. And the PPI program, as you know, is more of that's the planning side of things.
Okay. And
so
just
a
a
quick
quick.
Yep.
And sorry, just a quick comment, like for any of the groups here that are not involved in we call it the VPI, Village Partnership Initiative. That process for the town of Van Buren helped us identify several areas of our town that we would have never considered for green space development, and it really has been a real eye-opener. And if you're not involved with that, you should reach out to your local planner, because for us it really changed the direction of our town moving forward.
And you want to put things for people to play on in some of those green spaces, right, Luke?
Yeah, well, the first presentation, I'm looking at these pop-up playgrounds. I'm like, how come I haven't thought of that? How smart that is. That's awesome.
It
Like,
really is.
when we get off this call, I'll be searching for pop-up playgrounds.
We're happy to help with that.
Thanks, John.
I have a question for Dakota, if no one else
great.
does, Sylvie. Dakota, you said that DOT doesn't actually do the demonstration projects, and one of the partners that a number of our downtowns have worked with is Bicycle Coalition of Maine. Are there other people that do that kind of work? And when you apply for that program, do you have to come in with who you're going to work on? Obviously, I understand it's grounded in data. That was quite clear, and what the situation is, but how do you pick your partner?
Yeah, great question. So as Ann mentioned, there are other stakeholders that can help assist with planning of pilot projects and demonstration projects. Bicycle Coalition of Maine has done that a bit in the past. I don't actually know what their capacity is to do a lot of that this year. They have some new staff coming on recently, so that would certainly be up to them. I think they do have an interest in doing some of that. There are also a number of kind of transportation specific engineering consultants, planning and engineering consultants that I think have some great experience that could do that. Obviously, they're probably going to be a little more expensive to do that. This new program will pay for both actually the materials and equipment to do the project, as well as potentially a portion of consultant or planning professional time to help lay out what the project is and that type of thing. So it's
That's
certainly
great.
always up for conversation if a town wants to find the best way to work with others and find a way to get it done.
Great, thank you.
Dakota.
I just think, oh, sorry, Sylvie. I just think a lot of communities see that a demonstration project is a great path forward, right? It allows you to test something that maybe hadn't been thought about. It allows, public safety to see that they can make it around the corner, or that it actually is safer for pedestrians, or whatever it is. And then, you can convince the council or the select board that, like, we need to make this investment and look for funding. And I just think it's a great way to set a community off, specifically in our downtowns, on a path forward. Sorry, Sylvie.
No, that's great. I was just logistical question. Dakota, is the active transportation partnership up on the site yet?
Yes, as of earlier this week, it is now on our website. So I will throw a link to that in the chat and then include that in a follow-up email with my slides also.
Okay, great, excellent. Any other questions for Dakota? All right. Dakota, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And yes, please do share slides, and I'll include that in our follow-up. And I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.